The Houston Texans defeat the Buffalo Bills 23-20, Ryan. That's not the headline, though. The Bills losing is okay. We knew either team could win this game. The shocker and the reason we're leading the episode with this, we wouldn't lead the episode with just Houston winning. Okay, yeah, happens. Good team beats a good team. It's the way it ended. Sean McDermott, I really think they should have checked to see if him and Joe Brady were wearing Texan shirts underneath their uniform or whatever they were wearing. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm not joking when I say to you, the call at the end of the game is one of the craziest I've ever seen. One of the most inexcusable I've ever seen by a coach. Tie game, just to set it up for anyone that might be unaware. Tie game, 20-20. Bills get the ball on their own 3. We just, take it to overtime. Let's see what we can do. We clawed back into this game. The Bills have struggled to move the ball all game. Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, whoever, they decide to pass the ball 3 straight times. 3 incompletions, so Houston doesn't even have to burn a timeout. Then they punt it back to Houston, who gets it on the 50 because you're on your own 3. Instead of just running it, taking it to overtime, or forcing Houston to use their timeouts, Houston ends up kicking a long field goal to win the football game in regulation. As a Bills fan, tell me your thoughts and we'll get into the nitty-gritty. It is an inexcusable decision in my opinion.
Yeah, Tristan, this is 2 weeks in a row now with a really questionable offensive play call. 3 incomplete passes to pretty much hand the game over to the Houston Texans. I couldn't even watch it. Like, after the third one, I had to just turn away and just realize that, well, the game's over. Like, they're going to get the ball back at the 50-yard line. They're going to get a field goal. Like, it's perfectly set up for the Houston Texans to win. If you rewind back to last week, you had the questionable trick play call, and not even that it was a trick play, but just at that certain point in the game, it was a little strange. And now you have this. So it starts to make me question Joe Brady's entire offensive scheme. I don't know what's going on. It's concerning that Josh Allen went 9 for 30 today. 9 for 30. You heard that right.
No, I understand that. Hold that, though, because we can dig into that more. I want to bounce off what you said, where you said it makes you more concerned with Joe Brady, and talking about the trick play against the Ravens last week, the reverse play that cost them any chance of getting back into the ballgame. That I can put on Joe Brady, because Sean McDermott, maybe he hears the call in his ear. Maybe he's not an offensive coach. I'm giving him a little leeway. He shouldn't have let the trick play happen last week, but let's just say that was Brady. Okay, no fault of McDermott. This right here, even if Joe Brady called 3 straight passes, that's the job of the head coach. That's what the head coach does. Even if he's not an offensive play caller, that's where he says, hey, we're going to try to run it here, make them use their timeouts. Hopefully we can get a first down.
Yeah, even if they went like 1 deep pass, right, just to try to get out of their end zone or something, and it didn't work and it failed and the clock stopped because of an incomplete pass, Sean McDermott should say, all right, well, guys, now we're going to run the football and we're going to burn the time and we're going to try to fight for overtime.
Well, that's why you run it on first down, inarguably. There's no case to be made of passing on first down. You run it on first down, see how many yards you get, you know what I mean? See if you get 2, 7, 5. That affects the next play call. But in that situation, Houston would have probably called their timeouts, obviously, to try and get the ball back. But then you could have got a few yards from running it, punted it, and then they wouldn't have any timeouts. That's the only reason they were able to kick the field goal, because Houston got good field position and had all of their timeouts. I'm not joking, man. I think that's like a fireable offense. We know this is a rebuild year for Buffalo. Okay, we're aware of that. But this takes it to a whole new level. This is not just, we don't have the talent. Like the receivers, they were a problem today. Shakir was out. I can live with all of that. But when you do things like that, to me, this is almost just the nail in the coffin of proving that it's just time for a new regime in Buffalo. Because I can't imagine you would ever see Kansas City do that, or San Francisco. It's just, Scott Hansen on Red Zone was screaming. He was so baffled that it was happening. You can't defend it.
This is something that it's beyond getting worked out. We just need to revamp. Like, it's time to completely overhaul. Like we said last year, you got me on the fire Sean McDermott train, or at least move on from him. You're not going to win a Super Bowl under McDermott. And I believe that now. At the first of the year, the first 2 games where we dominated, it looked great. First 3 games, right? Yeah, first 3 games. We dominated, looked great. Josh Allen had to play a 4th quarter. It was terrific. I loved it. But we were also playing pretty talentless teams. I'm not going to say talentless because it's still
Subpar,
the NFL, but it was very subpar teams. And we were also within the week 4 realm, so teams aren't fully figured out yet. They're still in that quote-unquote preseason mode. What's clear to me is if you're going to try to fix something, you have to get Josh Allen a number 1 wideout. I know that Shakir is serving as that purpose. He was out today. It was very evident. And it wasn't that Josh Allen, I know you said we're going to dig into this, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it up now.
Yeah, please.
9 for 30. A lot of the balls that he threw today were very catchable. And some of the receivers just didn't come down with them.
So just to play off that, Keon Coleman, 5 targets, 1 reception. Kincaid, 6 targets, 2 reception. Mac Hollins, 6 targets, 2 receptions. So everybody called, 2 for 6, 2 for 6, 1 for 5. I think there were a lot of bad throws too. I don't think Josh Allen played good, but I agree with you. There were also drop balls. There were missed opportunities, which also the fact that you went 9 for 30 or at the time 9 for 27 further implies how stupid it is to throw it 3 straight times on your own 3.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned that, still don't be too hard on yourself. The Bills are still leading the division. Yeah. They're leading the division of crap. Okay, you got the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. Let's be real. The Dolphins aren't anything without Tua. Who knows what the rest of their season will be like? The Patriots, not even going to go there because it's just pitiful to be a Patriots fan. And then the Jets. You have an old man leading a kind of mid-roster and maybe fighting to get Devontae Adams, which who knows if that'll even help. We'll talk about that later. And then you got the Bills atop the division. I don't want to be atop a division of crap. I know we'll still get a playoff spot, being top of the AFC East, but I don't want it this way. I want us to be a good team, a well-rounded team. We have the running game down. James Cook is electrifying. But when you're down and you need points, you can't run the ball, Tristan. You got to be able to throw it. And guess who Josh Allen has to throw it to? Nobody. He has these receivers that either they can't catch the ball or he's inaccurate. I don't think we're going to see it be fixed this season. I hate to see it. And I hate to say it, but I just don't think that the Bills are going to right this ship. They may win the AFC East. That's not what I'm saying. I just mean internally, this problem seems like it's not going away.
No, it's probably not. I think I am not as sold as like the number 1 problem is receivers as you are. Don't get me wrong. Could they use a receiver? Yeah. Could they use a number 1? I get it. But we knew that was going to be part of this year. This year is a rebuild. We all went into the season. Everyone knew that this was a rebuild year for Buffalo. Now, people like me thought they could still compete in the rebuild, but we knew it wasn't going to be ideal. This is kind of a take your medicine year for all the cap decisions you made and paying all the old players, right?
Right.
I think one of the big problems for me is just the defense, which I guess, they did okay today, only allowing 23, but CJ Stroud had 331 yards passing. I mean, it felt like he could do no wrong. I mean, Houston had 425 yards. Buffalo had 276. When they needed it most, they got it. They couldn't get off the field. And then when you pair that with Josh Allen not being able to complete any passes, it really showed you how vulnerable they were with Shakir out. Because then the defense isn't scared of anybody. Like Keon Coleman's talented, but he's a rookie. And the only reason they scored that one was him making that spectacular touchdown.
Yeah, the one that he went out of bounds almost twice on.
Yeah.
So you said it's supposed to be a rebuild year, and I would agree with you. Like, I fully anticipated this to be a rebuild year, restructure. Let's see what we can do in 2026, 2025, whatever year it is. The problem is we anticipated that the Dolphins and the Jets would be much better than they are, and we didn't anticipate that the Bills would be atop the AFC East in Week 5. At least I didn't. So then you ask yourself the question, as a Bills fan or even in the Bills office, we're in the fight. Like, we have a good chance to make the playoffs because of the competition within our division. So how much are you willing to invest into this run when nobody thought that you would be able to be there?
In my opinion, and this is not popular, and it's easy for me to say because I don't have any stake in, the game. I'm not a Buffalo fan, but just from the outside, I would resist. I would just try to let the season play out and say, we knew this season was going to be tough, okay? We knew it. We're going to let it ride. Because even if we went and got Devontae Adams, that doesn't fix the defense. Like, I know the defense is good at times, but it has its weaknesses. Sean McDermott, to his credit, does make the defense look better than it is. Yes, Devontae Adams would help. Yes, he could make a difference. The devil's advocate to that is, yeah, but Kansas City is kind of down this year. Baltimore's kind of down. It doesn't seem like there's anybody really up there, like taking the AFC by storm. Somebody has to win the AFC. So I can understand the argument of saying, let's go get him because let's capitalize on this year. But I feel like that does further hurt you from getting the rebuild behind you. Because if you get Devontae Adams, unless you can get the Raiders to eat a bunch of the salary, but regardless, you're going to lose at least a second-round pick next year. You're going to lose more cap space. I don't know if it's worth it.
The problem is if it's not worth it and you get to this point and you make the playoffs and then say you win the first round, then Sean McDermott is still around for the next year because he's done it again. So it's a catch-22. It's, do you want to invest in it and try to make this one run, and then if it doesn't happen, then you can kick Sean to the curb? Or do you hope that kind of you tank a little bit, come in third in the division, maybe make a wild card spot, but hopefully not, just so that way you can say, hey, Sean, man, you've tried for 5 or 6 years now. We're not wasting any more time with Josh Allen. Please see the door on your way out.
I think they need to do that anyway. I just don't know if they will. You know, it's like him turning the season around last year saved his job. It did. But you wonder if this year they'll pull the plug on him, if they're just going to keep riding. And McDermott's a good coach, like he is. But you're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. It's just, I just don't see it happening, especially when they make these kind of decisions. Because you can't tell me there's not. And to go back like this isn't the first time. The fake punt in the playoff game against Kansas City on your own 15. That gets forgotten because then Kansas City fumbled out of the end zone when they were about to score. But Buffalo went for a fake punt with Damar Hamlin. It got absolutely stuffed. And then Kansas City's literally scoring to go up 2 scores. And the game's over, but they fumbled through the end zone. I'm not like making excuses. I'm just saying we forget that because of the fumble and it made it a close game. He makes decisions like this a lot. They need to move on from McDermott regardless. So maybe as a fan, you do hope this season just ends up kind of going off the rails.
Troubling time in Buffalo.